All right. We have no intro music, but welcome to Ball and Chain Podcast. This is episode 196. I'm Max Morgan. I have with me It's My Angel
Hello.
and
Yet
the
to be named.
yet to be named no gamer tag yet. Um, we're back. We're excited to be back. It's been 4 months since our last podcast. I think it was June. It was June. It was like right. It was the. I think it was the last episode of Game of Thrones that we talked about, and that was pretty much that. And then we went on hiatus for a little bit, only for a short while, but we're here. Um, what do you want to talk about? We've got a couple things to talk about, like things that have happened
We've had a
recently.
baby.
We've had a baby. That's a thing. This is Sawyer.
You may hear him, and then I may have to get up and move.
Yeah, from time to time, because it's a baby and you have to get up and move. So.
Yeah.
What else has been going on? We tore down the shed. That was an endeavor that took forever.
Yeah.
Well, first let's talk about this. Let's kind of catch everybody up. So, we are a gaming podcast. Well, I guess not really gaming so much exclusively, more of like
Entertainment.
entertainment. So we talk about movies and books and TV shows and things and video games for that matter. Um, so yeah, we covered all that good stuff. We're gonna change the format of the podcast a little bit because of time constraints, and we want to make sure that we're you know in and out like a fast food restaurant. Um, but we'll talk about that a little bit in a little bit. Let's talk about what we've been up to in the past 4 months. What have you been up to?
Being pregnant, having a baby, not sleeping. Um, that's kind of feeding said child, changing said child's diapers, taking other child to and from school. That's kind of been my life.
Well, let's see. You also, I think we talked about last time. Oh no! Since last time we talked about your new camera, you also started a new endeavor with Bella Baby. So that's pretty exciting, right? What else has been going on? I the past 4 months of my past 4 months have been extremely different. I did not get pregnant. I did not have a baby. Or I guess I didn't birth a baby. um, what did we do? We let's see here. Updated PC, which is good, thank God, because the Xbox PC was not cutting it. So now we've moved that over to my son's station. He's playing that. He's using that Xbox now, or I guess PC now. We tore down the shed. It's a six. It was a 16 by 16 shed that we tore down. And let's see. We constructed Eli's. What is it? Playset. Well, half of it really. So that happened. That was kind of where we left off. I think was that last. Um, is he tired? He must be tired. Oh. And he's probably pooping.
He is pooping.
Ew, gross. Why
Yeah.
don't you scooch up on it?
I'm afraid I'm going to have the chair slip out from underneath me because I can't hold the chair and sit at the same time and hold the baby. It's going to roll away.
It's gonna roll.
You're going to see me crash to the ground.
Here, I'll hold the chair. There you go. Have a seat. There.
Oh, everyone saw my backside. That's wonderful.
Oh,
Sorry, world, for seeing
sorry,
my backside.
sorry, internets.
Yeah, and there's people watching too
there
who just
are
saw my
people.
backside. Holy cow! Wonderful. Thanks. Thanks for that.
All right. So what else is going on? I mean, new PC, new play set. I put new shelves up.
Lights on the front porch.
That's the other thing. Got some LED strips. So we constructed the deck. What, 2 years ago now? I think it was 2 years ago, roughly 2 years. We built the deck 2 years ago, and I decided that we need some deck lighting. So I got some LED strips that I soldered together and ran along underneath the handrail. Just waiting on power. It's up and running. Just needs power. So that will be a thing shortly. hopefully before winter, because then it gets really freaking cold. We sold the Malibu.
Yeah.
Sold the Malibu.
Got a new
And
car.
right, so you sold my other car, so you could get a new car. Congratulations. So I'm driving the minivan, and let me tell you, I make that minivan look sexy. I do. I rock that shit all day long. Anyway, what else? I think that's pretty much it as far as what we've been up to. Haven't been playing a lot of games, really. I mean, we just started, and we're going to kind of go into that. Actually, let's just go ahead and go into that. So what we're going to do as far as the podcast goes is we're going to change it up. Before, we would pick like 4 or 5 things, review games or whatever. We're going to change it up. From now on, well, not from now on, but for the foreseeable future, we're basically going to have our top 3. So the top 3 can be anything we want to talk about, just, you know, it can be movies, books, video games, anything like that. Some type of news topic, anything we want to talk about. We're going to try and stay away from political shit just because that's just...
We don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
And we don't agree on anything.
And we don't agree on anything. So anyway, we're going to stay away from that. But yeah, we'll just pick our top 3 things and go over each one individually, and then that'll be the show. We'll probably do like a brief synopsis, like, you know, to catch everybody up every day what we're playing and stuff like that. But so our 3 things this week. Number 3 is we're playing Dishonored in preparation for Dishonored 2 releasing mid-November. Number 2 is Westworld. We started watching Westworld, and they're on episode 5 now, or are they
4? I just finished episode 4.
Yeah, they just finished episode 4, so we're going to kind of talk about that for a little bit. And then number 1, we are going to talk about The Walking Dead. So if you haven't seen Westworld, or if you haven't seen Walking Dead,
after the video game,
we're going to spoil the shit out of it. So, yeah, go watch that. Come back. Let's see here. We've wanted to plug the YouTube channel. So youtube.com/72DPI online. That's where you can find all of our older videos, old past episodes and stuff like that. Got a couple other shows. All good stuff. And so yeah, so let's talk about Dishonored. What do you think so far? I know we've only played a few hours of it. What do you think so far?
So far so good. I'd never heard of it before until you said to play it.
I was like, play this.
Play
I
this.
was like, here, play this.
I'm
You're
like,
not doing anything. It's not like you just had a kid or anything.
Right.
Play this.
Yeah, I guess sorry, I'm having a really hard time making coherent thoughts. It's first person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how to explain it.
I think it's like a first person shooter, but it's from Bethesda.
But
so
it's not. You use swords and stuff more than like shooting.
Well, first person point of view. There are guns and crossbows and things like that in it.
Is it a role player?
It's kind of like it's kind of a role player light game. It's a Bethesda game, which they're known for, like their open world like RPG things, like
right.
Oblivion, Fallout, things like that. And this is more along the lines of, it's almost
you have missions.
Yeah, you have missions. It's kind of a linear storyline.
But you're free to explore the environment.
Right, you are free to explore the environment, and it's kind of like I want to relate it to BioShock, but with multiple choice. So like BioShock, you could either harvest or save the little sisters, right? That was pretty much the extent of your choices in the game. Here you can choose different pathways to complete objectives. You can play the game completely. You could do like a whole stealth. Like play the whole stealth mode. And
I suck at being stealthy. I just go in and kill people. I mean, I try to be stealthy to an extent, but
actually, to tell you the truth, I've got some gameplay that we can watch while it's going. Now, if you're watching on Facebook, I appreciate you guys watching on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. If you head over to twitch.tv/BC podcast, you can watch our show live with the fancy overlays and the video. So what you're watching now is basically video that I captured of Dishonored. Um, so I think my favorite thing about it is it's a story driven narrative, so it's very story heavy. The characters are fleshed out. The story is pretty solid. You play as an assassin.
You're the bodyguard to
Yeah.
it. You're the bodyguard to an empress
Right.
who is killed, and you take the fall for it.
Right. She literally dies right in front of you, and they take the daughter, the princess or empress to be, and you're blamed for it because there's nobody else around. Right. So then you acquire these magical powers and things like that. You can kind of level your guy up. I think my favorite part about it is you can play it how you want to play. Like you don't have to be a stealth. You don't have to play it as stealth because if you're not good at that or you just don't like playing those games, you don't have to. But you can approach each objective differently, which is
Yeah, I'll
what
say,
I like.
I'll say this is actually a mission fairly early on, is that you're supposed to take down this certain target.
How did you do it?
Did you do that part
Says he was in the Navy too long. Can you
with the
believe
poison
it?
cups?
Uh-huh.
That pile of
Okay,
wood out there.
so I'll
It's
go a little
hot
bit more
oil
into
built
it.
from an old
Basically,
Where does that
there
come
you're in prison for killing the empress. Mysterious group contacts you within prison and says, "Hey, we're going to help you escape." They are on the side of, the good people, and they want you to help
Well,
them
let's get down to it. First off,
find the little
I know
girl,
that assassination
take
is
down the
dangerous.
corrupt people that actually killed the
Sometimes
empress.
good men have to do bad
And so
things
you become an
to make it
assassin
right.
working
Our
with them.
purpose is clear. We
The
want to
first mission
restore
is
Her
to
Majesty's
take down
line
this
by
kind of
finding
head
and putting
person in the
Emily Caldwell
current
in
government.
To those ends,
However,
we'll
there's other
hide,
people kind of
act
in
in
this
shadow,
compound
take
where all
them
these
apart,
people are
piece
living.
by piece.
And one of them comes to you and says,
Tonight,
"Hey, my
my overseer
uncle, I
Campbell
believe it
died
is,
by your hand.
is living here.
It won't be easy.
Can
He's
you?"
protected by his overseer,
He really is a
an
good
army of
person.
religious
He's going to be
zealots.
killed
But if
by
anyone can
this
do it,
guy.
you
Can you save him?
Your exploits are legendary.
So when you get
Campbell
to the,
carries a
to the
private
point
journal. Once you've eliminated him,
in
get
the
to the
story,
journal, because we think it contains Emily's
you come into the
location.
room, you see the two
Recovering
cups,
her
one
is
with poison, one
obviously
with
critical,
not.
assuming she
You
won.
have the option
That's the gist of it.
to
Remember
switch the
our
cups
cause,
so
and
that
strike true.
the
We're counting on you.
guy you're trying to assassinate drinks the poison, and the other guy
Another thing.
you save.
Campbell is
You
holding
have
a
the
former
option
overseer
to
by the
mix
name of
them
Martin.
so that both
So
people
both
are.
people die.
If you manage to find
Yes,
him,
that both
give
people
him
die.
whatever help you can.
I think you have the option
He's
to
a
do
master
nothing, and I
strategist.
think you can
He
even
got
run
caught
out
working
and
for our
just
cause.
chop them to
It'd
bits
be
with
good to
your
have him
sword.
back here at the house.
Which we've proven you can behead people and then pick their head
Corvo.
up and walk around with it.
Hello.
Which is awesome.
I'm Callista. I work here
Um,
for Admiral Havelock.
So there's a
I'm
lot
sorry
of
to
different
intrude on your business, but this is
options that
important.
you can take.
I suspect
I
you're
took the
going to
route
kill the
of
High Overseer,
poisoning the
that wretched man.
whatever
There's really no
overseer
reason for
guy
you to listen
and
to me.
saving the uncle.
But my uncle, Jeff Kernow, still serves
I
as captain of the
chose
City
to
Watch.
do that same
But he's a
thing.
good man, and my
However,
only family.
I accidentally left the door
The chatter
open
in
on the
servant
other
circles
side
is
of
that
the
Campbell just took
table.
delivery
So
of
like
an
the
exotic
way the
poison.
room's set
I
up
didn't
is
enter
And I think
in
I
that
know
door.
why.
yeah.
My
So
uncle's not
basically,
corruptible
there's
like the
three
rest of them.
doors and a staircase. Each
Campbell's
wall
going to
has a
poison
different
my
entry
uncle.
point, and
Do you think you could protect
they
him?
come from
You used to do that,
the
right?
one door, a doorway that
Before you
faces
had
the other
your
doorway. It's
current
across the way,
profession.
right? And the table, there's like a
Before you
dining
became
table in the
assassin.
middle of it, and that's where the cups are, or whatever. I switched the cups or whatever, so the overlord would die and the other guy would survive or whatever. But the problem is, I left the doors open on the other side, so when they walked in, they saw the pile of bodies of
When you
people
want
I
some
murdered before
just
that,
give the word.
and they drew their swords and ran
Just
looking
wondering,
for me.
sir, if
Luckily,
you
I
found
was
out
hiding in the
perhaps
corner,
here or
kind of
if
wanted to
you
watch them
eventually
die.
need
That's where I was
overseas
too.
now.
That
And, like,
like,
the
a
little
half
I'd
wall.
recommend
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
a bookcase and there's like a little shade area. So yeah, they ran out
Just give the signal.
and yeah, so they both lived for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
the guy that you're supposed to take down, you can not take him down.
I completed the mission and yeah, it said main objective complete or whatever, and I was like, okay, this is strange. So I stopped playing there. But anyway, so I stopped playing there, but it was just interesting that it's almost like a scripted scene where you would think that, you know, you would switch the cups, and the guys would walk in, and one guy would drink
Why do
it
protein
automatically.
drinks taste chalky, then get worse?
And-
Introducing Protein Shots from 5 Hour Energy. Protein Shots from 5 Hour Energy are smooth and tasty, and still deliver 21 grams of protein with 100 calories. They're great for workouts. So great that if you don't get up to 15% more reps, more laps, more distance, we'll give you your money back. Period. Protein shots from 5 Hour Energy. Great taste, 100 calories, 21 grams of protein.
Whatever. Like, we'll find whoever did this. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh god, here we go. So, but anyway, so yeah, so Dishonored, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's gonna. I like the art style, although the only thing that bothers me is the people's hands. Right? They're like super big.
It'll be a rough trip.
Does that bother you?
Used to be you go straight up
I don't know, they're just like disproportionate. Like the one guy's like holding a glass, and he like lifts up the glass, and it's like you can't see his head. It's just this big fist holding the glass.
City Watch still holds the bigger
Like, it just
streets and
bothers
set up
me.
those wall and
Um,
light checkpoints.
But yeah, so far I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the next one just because it's on next. It's got. It's got better graphics. It's it's just an all around better better experience. I think they really push the narrative. You can choose through a couple different characters and things like that. So yeah, that is Dishonored. Yeah, so here's eliminate the High Overseer. So I don't understand. Maybe the Overseer like died on his way down the steps or something like that. I don't know, because it literally came up and said objective complete. Overseer, he had the little green checkbox thing or whatever. Okay, I guess he died, but no one drank the cups. I don't know. So it very well could have glitched. I did murder a lot of people in that hallway. Turns out there are sirens that go off.
I turned on the siren.
You turned on the sirens?
Yeah, I don't. I was retarded.
I didn't know what that sound was. I thought it was just like the music in the game is very interesting.
Yeah, I
Like,
turned off the siren. I turned on the siren. I saw the bell. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I was like, everyone's on lockdown. I'm like, oh crap.
what kind of weapons are you using? That's another thing. What kind of weapons are you using?
Crossbow and sword.
Crossbow and sword. What kind of bolts are you using? The sleeping bolts yet?
No,
Okay, so there are sleeping bolts, and if
I haven't really explored any of that business.
okay, yeah, there's like sleeping bolts that you can like shoot people with, and they kind of fall asleep, and they like you hear them snoring. I'm like, I don't know if that's really. And then you can walk up to them and it says unconscious, and you could just in their sleep. So I don't know. It's a very demented game. All right. So let's go to number 2. Talk about Westworld.
HBO series.
HBO series just started. Super awesome. It's got Anthony Hopkins in it, which is always a win. What else is going on in there?
It's in its 4th season. I know you had mentioned that it was after books. I don't know if it's after books or there's an old 1970s film by the same name.
It's the same concept.
So I don't know if it's after the movie or if that first movie was after books or what. But anyhow, basically there's a theme park created that takes place like in the Wild West, and everything in the theme park, all the living creatures except for flies.
Yeah, the flies are real.
Are androids. They're all animatronic, whatever.
Androids.
Yep. So yeah, people can go. They spend at what he said, like $40,000 a day or something like that.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
They go and spend. I don't know how much time they spend in the park. I want to say it's probably like 2 weeks or something. But they spend time in the park. They get to choose whatever they want to do, pretty much. I mean, they can be good and go on, bounty hunting quests.
It's like a live video game.
Right. They can join up. The sheriff is looking for a certain guy up in the hills, and he can join with the sheriff to go on this raid, whatever, to go get this guy. Or They can just sit at the saloon and drink and gamble and buy whores.
Right. You can pretty much do what you want. and
Right.
There's no consequences. There, the androids will fight back. However, you can't be killed in this.
Right.
I don't-
Somehow the guns know.
Somehow the guns know that you're a human being.
They still shoot,
They
but
still
not the
shoot.
bullet.
They still can knock you over. They still leave like a welt or something. Like I said, I don't know. But if they
It's
shoot,
almost like a paintball.
yeah, it's almost like a paintball, but it doesn't leave anything or whatever. But then again, if they shoot like another android shoots another android, or a human shoots an android,
It's a bullet.
it's a bullet, and there's bullet fragments, and there's blood, and they die, and like
Yeah.
they're-
I don't.
It's kind, and they,
You
well,
kind of have to just overlook it.
right. You kind of have to overlook it, and then the other thing is if they can impact the environment as well. So like if they shoot a glass, wherever the glass will shatter, or if they shoot the wall, there'll be a bullet hole.
Right.
So it's really strange, like technology that they have that can detect human life.
You just have to not think about it.
Right. I don't know if they'll ever explain it, but yeah. So yeah, as right now, so like the whole like so far where we're at in the series is Anthony Hopkins is like kind of like one of the two directors. The other director or creator of this place died, or we think has died. At least that's what Anthony Hopkins is saying.
That's what they tell us.
That's what
right?
they tell us so far.
There's a lot of mysterious things going on.
Right. So one of them is the androids are kind of gaining consciousness. Like
yeah.
they are like retaining thought, and they're not supposed to. Like every night when they go to sleep or shut down, their memory banks are supposed to be wiped clean so that they start the exact same or similar task the next day or whatever. So if they're murdered, they go down and and
They forget that they were murdered.
they forget that they were murdered, and like the night crew comes in and picks all the dead bodies up, takes them downstairs, and cleans them up and puts them back in their starting positions. Well, some of them are remembering what happened the day before, and some of them are remembering what happened in like storylines before. Like obviously they reuse characters and put new storylines in and stuff like that. Some of them are remembering things that happened prior. So it's kind of hard to explain, but the other thing that's going on is not only are they remembering, but some of the characters are programmed to be like fighters, and some are not programmed to have weapons trainings and things like that. They apparently take weapon training and weapon availability very seriously. So like when I think it was the one expedition they were on, the one robot or android that was meant to chop the wood, the only one of the 12 people that were there that was able to operate an axe, kind of went on a glitch, spat and kind of went off rails. So like no one was there that could operate an axe that could create chop wood.
So
create
all
a
the
fire.
other androids sat there for 2 days talking about cooking the meal.
Yeah, like
It
oh,
never
you
got
should cut the
done.
wood. No, you cut the wood. I'm starving, and like it just kept going on and on. Blah blah. I'm like, oh my god, this is hilarious. At any rate,
There's
one-
a lot to it.
there-
It's pretty deep.
right, and the one thing that I find most interesting is the androids that aren't programmed to use weapons are now using weapons.
Yeah. Dolores.
Yeah, Dolores being one of them.
You also have this other character, we call him the Man in Black. We don't really know a whole lot about him.
Ed Harris.
Yep. He, in the game, has been really, really evil. I mean, Dolores' little like boyfriend character, Teddy, he comes and kills Teddy. We assume that he rapes Dolores in the barn. You're not really certain. He drags her off after killing Teddy and into the barn. You see him bleed this one character and then scalp him. You see him be pretty devious.
Right.
But he's after, he says, you get a lot of clues about him. For one, he says he's been coming here for 30 years, and this time he doesn't plan to leave. So how is he going to stay in the park forever? What is the deal with that? We also, this last episode, saw 2 other human characters meet up with him. And the one says something about, oh my gosh, you're so-and-so, your foundation saved my
Oh,
sister.
yeah.
And he says, don't ruin my vacation.
Right.
I'll have to kill you or whatever. So, we know he's some kind of a philanthropist, possibly, outside of this. So, is he in real life a good person?
Is this just like his way to get, exude
Relieve
some
the
evil?
aggression? Yeah, I don't know.
That's a lot of money to.
And he's, and the thing he's after right now is this maze. He's found out that there is this deeper level to this game, or so he thinks that's what it is. And he found out somehow that there's a maze in this. We also hear mention of that when the one programmer, Bernard, is speaking with Dolores. He mentions to her that there's a maze, and if she wants to be free, she should find her way through it.
Right. So, the other thing that's kind of funny is, while they're talking about this maze and the man in black, the man in black is interrogating these cyborgs about this maze or whatever. They know what he's talking about. Like, he says something, and that kind of unlocks their whole thought process. So, you had mentioned last night or the night before when we were watching, that he has to know the other director or creator that supposedly is dead, or
He mentions
is.
Arnold.
Right, yeah. So he has to know, personally know him, because he has these he knows about these secrets, and it doesn't seem like it would be common knowledge. I mean, how many people would go to this theme park thinking okay, if I scalp this one person, there's going to be a maze on the inside of his skin. That's disgusting. And on the one hand, on the other hand, it's how would you know to do that? You know what I mean?
If you didn't work there previously,
Right.
or and he mentions doing this, to free the androids, because he mentioned freeing the is it Lawrence, the guy that he's got with him?
Yeah.
He mentions freeing him, and he also mentions the fact that he wants to preserve the legacy, or something about fulfilling the legacy of Arnold by finding this maze.
Right.
So why is he concerned with Arnold's legacy? So yeah, it'll be interesting to find out who this guy really is. And
Right. There's also some theories that there's some time jumping going on between because they do a lot of interviews with the androids and in the basement of this facility or whatever. Especially when something goes wrong, they try to identify what's happening, and it's kind of interesting to watch them talk to the cyborgs. They can control them by voice. And I think in the
Yeah.
first episode, is
Like,
it the first one or the second
rid
one?
of your emotional effect or whatever, and
Right.
they just calm right down.
Right, she's bawling, and he's okay, clear all emotional effect. And she's oh, okay,
Yeah,
my
and-
father died. They killed my father.
And I'm terrified.
and I'm terrified.
Yeah. So she still clearly feels the emotion, or she thinks she feels the emotion.
Right.
And she's an android, so she technically shouldn't be able to. But they told her to clear the. I don't know. It's different.
You kind of have to know, you have to know that you're watching a TV show that is going to have some
Inconsistencies.
Some inconsistencies. But what was the other thing I was going to talk about? They're voice controlled, they control by voice. The one thing that in episode is it 1 or 2, it's almost like a virus that they're spreading through voice, how they kind of
say a code word.
yeah, they
whatever.
they say this code phrase or whatever, and it started with Dolores's dad, and he said it to her, and she is now
She said it to the bar lady, Maeve.
right. So he said it he uncovered this picture of someplace outside of the town or whatever of this chick, and there was a downtown looking area with a car, and he was he just staring at it, and it kind of it set him off his normal course of what he was planning on, what he was set to do. So in the morning, she would wake up and walk outside, and he'd be sitting on the porch or whatever, drinking coffee or whatever, and they'd have a conversation. Well, the next morning, he was still looking at that picture, and she walked by, said her piece, and he didn't say anything. So she turned around, and this whole new event happened or whatever, and he said something to her that set her off of her course, and then she's starting to remember things that happened without going back in time and breaking the rules of the game or whatever. And then she talked to that barmaid, and now she's doing the same thing, only she's remembering she's remembering the people that clean them up at the end of the night. So like you have like these guys in masks or whatever. So she's got like this vision of these guys in masks that clean them up or whatever. She knows that she was shot at one point in time, and in this, she's like, oh, I know there's a bullet fragment. She remembers the conversation that the surgeon was having on her while she was supposedly under or turned off or whatever, asleep. But she knew that they had said, oh, don't worry about getting all of it, just clean it up and send her back up there. So she knew all that, and then at the very last bit of this fourth episode, she digs the piece out of her gut, and it's still there, and she pulls out, and like all of a sudden, like she's like, everything that she thought was like false or like conspiracy, she's like, oh God, it's all true, right? So it's definitely an awesome series. I would oh yeah, that's the thing. It's on. Oh, Walking Dead ratings did? Oh, you mean Westworld took a hit. Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, but I would say this series, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, right, and you don't have HBO, I would say this series plus Game of Thrones backlog would be worth $15.99 a month to get HBO Go. Like I would pay $15.99 a month just for this series and have a backlog of like the other shows that they have. I mean, they've got John Oliver and stuff like that on there. So
Well, and a lot of movies too.
Oh yeah.
If you don't want to do Netflix or something like that, there's a wide variety of movies.
Right. So
Even kids movies.
It's a well put. I mean, it's on the same. I mean, it's on the same level as I would say Game of Thrones, as far as production value goes. The character, although the characters are interesting for androids, that's the one thing I worry about with them just repeating the same process over and over and over again. Like there isn't character development. But then again, like the creators can just drop in character backstory, like they did for the
With
one
Teddy.
guy. Yeah, like the one what was his name?
Teddy.
Teddy. Yeah, Teddy. So Teddy didn't have like an origin story, and Anthony Hopkins is like, wouldn't you like to know who this wanderer is? Or he kind of was like,
what you have to reckon for.
yeah, he always says I have a reckoning. I've got to do I've got a reckoning or something.
I've
like
got
that.
something to reckon for.
I've
That's why
got
that's why he can't run off with Dolores.
Right. So, and in the conversation, he has like, wouldn't you like something to fight for? And so like, he just, with a push of a button, downloads this whole long, update that gives him a backstory and like a purpose and all this stuff, and sends him on his way. So, what you looking for?
Just looking at some of the actors and actresses that are in this.
Yeah.
Like Luke where'd he go? Luke Hemsworth is in that, which he's got some famous brothers. Chris Thor.
Oh, okay.
And Gale from Gale from what the heck is that called? Mockingjay. Hunger Games. Those are his older brothers.
Huh, that's interesting.
I think they're the older ones. I think he's the youngest one.
He's a youngin'.
I think so.
Okay.
Like you said, Anthony Hopkins, Ed Harris. He's been around for a while. So you got some kind of well-known actors.
It's a good series. Definitely good. Worth watching. The original movie was back in, what would we say, 1973 or something. I think it was 1973. Same premise, Westworld, but my dad kind of caught me up to speed on that. He said he has seen it before, the movie, and apparently there's a couple different worlds in the movie. There's Westworld is like the main attraction, but there's also Future World, and he said there was some space
Maybe
one,
Space
too,
World
like
or
some
something.
space world or whatever. Yeah, he said it was along the same lines. So I'm kind of looking forward to going back and watching that movie. There's also a movie for Future World too. So, all right, want to switch to number one?
Alrighty.
So, The Walking Dead. This is your warning. If you haven't seen Walking Dead yet, we're gonna talk about it. Right meow. So I believe it was you that said before the series or before the episode started that what if Negan kills 2 people? And I think I said you're nuts. There's no way. We know he's going to kill Glenn for sure. I don't want him to kill Glenn. I was hoping for Maggie. So like, what were your thoughts on the episode? Let's talk about the episode.
It was a good episode. I didn't get all the emotion from it that I thought I was going to for some reason. And I don't know if it's because I'm just so just exhausted right now with a new baby. The very end did get me emotional though.
Oh, with Carl?
No, well that yes, but the showing of the Sunday dinner table.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, Negan says at one point, what did you think you're gonna sit around all happy on a Sunday afternoon having dinner together?
Right.
That's not the world we're in now.
It could be. I feel like it could be.
And I think it could be too, but not with Negan's presence.
Right.
So basically, this whole episode was just about breaking down Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying, Negan breaking him down. Negan knows he's the leader of their group. The other episode ended with a cliffhanger of Negan saying, "Look, you killed an entire compound of our people. We of course have to kill one of yours." So that's what we're gonna do. And so he, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, picks a person. And
I
it's
think he also threw on "My mother told me to pick the very
he
best"
did.
or one or whatever on there too.
He did.
So he ended up at Abraham, which is kind of sad because he was definitely the comic relief,
Yeah.
So
I
there
liked
will no
Abraham.
be there's gonna be no more porch dick or what the bitch or who's Dolores
Deanna.
or Deanna, whoever. So I'm kind of sad about that, but he went out with a bang.
He did. He gets hit in the head and says, "Suck my nuts."
Right. So he gets hit in the head with Lucille, which is a wooden baseball bat that's wrapped very
Tucked
tightly.
away.
By the way, very very tightly. By the way, I don't know. He must have had like some type of machine to wrap that around that tight with barbed wire. But smashed his head once, knocked him to the ground. He got back up, sucked my nuts, and then just went to town on him.
Yeah. At which point, Daryl freaks out. So it is Daryl's fault. I still love Daryl, but it's Daryl's fault. Because they were warned. They know what kind of person this is.
Yeah, he said if anybody moves, gets
Talks,
up, talks, says
does
anything,
anything.
cut the boy's eye out. They cut the boy's other eye out and feed it to him.
Feed it to his dad.
So, feed it to his dad. Oh, okay. So he's talking to Carl, who's got one eye
Yep.
already, thanks to the gunshot wound, which is kind of sad.
So Daryl gets up, takes a swing at Negan,
hits him good.
which is the dumbest thing he could have done.
Right.
Immediately, Negan's guys come around him, pull him down, and are ready to shoot. And Negan's like, "No, we got to make him work for it." So Negan's saying, "You know what? I don't know who you've met before, but I'm a man of my word. I told you, I told you
Right.
if you didn't, something was going to happen if you retaliated." So he kills Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn
Well, he
takes
doesn't.
a
Hold on.
nasty beating
I was
to
gonna
the
say he
face.
doesn't just kill Glenn. He almost
Yeah,
like
he-
humiliates him first. So like he does like a full on, like he's not even facing Glenn. Takes the bat like full circle, swings it around, and just beats him to the to the back of the head to the ground.
Yeah, eyes popping out. I mean, it's disgusting.
Right.
It is. It makes you want to vomit. I mean, it's bad.
It was pretty gross. So he hits the ground. He sits back up and like he's just like eyes bulging, and Negan turns
His head
away.
split.
His head split, blood everywhere.
Ugh.
He's like shaking and like mumbling or whatever. Negan like turns away and basically leaves him like suffering for like 2 or 3 minutes later. He looks, obviously Maggie's like kind of like just in shock and awe.
Yeah, and says, "Maggie, I'll always find you."
Or I'll find you or something. I'll find you or something like that.
Right.
Which my gut reaction was, in the zombie apocalypse, that's kind of gross. Like, you're gonna turn to a zombie, then go find her. That's not a good thing. But I knew what he meant. Like,
Right.
he'll find her. But
Like eventually they'll be together.
right. So was that well? I can't remember the order of events. Was it Abraham going down and then Rick getting carried off immediately and then Glenn?
Well, that all happened right off the bat. You don't see it right away. You don't see at all who gets hit right away. You see the episode starting with Negan talking to Rick and carrying him in the RV off someplace, and you see Rick having flashbacks of all of his group's kind of
That's right.
lives together, and that's when you kind of then find out what happened, kind of like in a flashback.
Right.
Negan gives Rick every opportunity. Here's a hatchet, hit me in the head, which Rick does go for it, and of course Negan turns around and has a gun. So I mean
Right.
that it wasn't gonna really happen, but he's clearly still playing mind games.
Well, like you said, he's breaking Rick down. Like Rick has been this driving force for his group for some time. He led the group through several battles. Obviously they know. He looks at Rick and he looks at what type of firearms they were carrying, and it's like, okay, this guy probably knows what he's doing. It's not his first rodeo. He's got I personally think he took down Abraham because he's the biggest and the biggest threat.
Well, and as on Talking Dead they pointed out, he was one that was standing. He was the highest above all the others.
Right.
I'm gonna, pick me. I'm gonna take it.
Right. So I think I think Negan's very smart when it comes to identifying his enemy and finding the weak spot or whatever. So you take out the strongest warrior, you break down the leader, and you kill. I don't know if he pegged Glenn as some type of moral compass or whatever. Right hand man. I mean, he made that that comment, which makes me think maybe they did some recon beforehand.
I mean, he would not have amassed as large a group as he has without being a smart, without being some kind, a devious mastermind kind of guy. I mean,
but in his eyes, he's not, like you said, he's not evil. He's just trying to survive. So now that, Rick has been broken and Rick is, he's like, you know what? I'm not the leader anymore. Negan. Well, that was the next episode. But anyway, Negan's pretty much like, okay, you work for me. I own. You basically provide for me.
Right. I mean, we see him take him out to a field of zombies, throw an axe out, and say, "Okay, go get my axe." Here,
Right.
bitch, go do it.
Right. Do it.
I mean, that's pretty much. And if you don't, he saves them. He could have, Rick's up there having his little mental breakdown. Negan does shoot at the roof. He could,
right.
Rick runs off and is hanging there dangling by a zombie with zombies underneath him, and Negan does clear out underneath him. He
So
could have let him die.
So the last part of the episode was probably the most traumatic for Rick and probably for a lot of a lot of people.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
And I think Negan knew what he was doing because he told him you're going to need this axe or whatever in the RV. So when he pulled him back out, he pushed Rick to the ground. He's like,
He knew Rick wouldn't be 100% broken yet.
Right. So he was looking for, and he mentions the way you look at me or whatever. And Rick's kind of got that I'm going to kill you look still, and even says that, but his face is I still hate you and I'm going to kill you, blah blah blah. And that's when he's like, all right, I don't like that look. We're going to fix that look, and this is how we're going to do it. So he gets all of his, armed guards or whatever, put a gun to the back of everyone's head. Says if he doesn't follow his orders, I want you to shoot right through their face. Make a big old mess.
Yep.
They bring Carl over, tell Carl to lay down. He draws a line. I don't know which. It's probably his left arm. Draws a line across his arm.
Makes a tourniquet.
Makes a tourniquet with his belt. Which once he did that, it's you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
He's like, is that hurt? And he's like, no. He's like, well, it needs to hurt. Or it should hurt because this is about to happen. He draws the line. When he drew the line, like, oh, it's all over. Puts the kid's arm out or whatever, and he's like...
And Rick's a blubbering mess at this point.
Oh, he's like, as soon as he tied that tourniquet, Rick is like, no, me. Like he's like just stumbling over his words and like kudos to what's his name, Andrew Lincoln. Like played the part well. The scene looked really good. I mean, it was believable.
They all did really well with it.
Yeah. So basically, what Negan says is, you're going to cut off his arm, or I'm going to kill everybody here, keep you alive for years to stew over it. So
Right. I mean, given the situation, you have to. Your kid's gonna die
right,
one way or the other. I mean, you have no choice, but
Yeah.
you're still inflicting this pain upon your kid.
right.
Like-
and, I mean, he even tries to bargain with him. I think Michonne says, "No, we get it. You don't have to do this."
Right.
And he's like, "No, I know you all get it. He doesn't get it." So so people are blaming Daryl for Glenn's death, but I still believe, I'm kind of under the impression that if Rick would have had that, okay, we're on your side, we get it. Obviously, Abraham would have died, but maybe Glenn could have been spared. I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, so like he counts down, like counts down from 3 or whatever. And even Carl at this point is just like, you know what, just he's straight face, like, stone cold, just do it, kind of thing. And that kind of goes to show you what kind of character, arc Carl has had. Is he's been through a lot of shit. Like he's had
Yeah.
to grow up in the apocalypse.
I mean, he had to kill his mom.
Yeah, that was pretty
I
bad.
mean, he's taken a lot of sacrifice
Which is kind of
and grown up fast.
which in the comics, Carl gains an affinity for Negan, right? Don't they have some type of like bromance or whatever?
kind of. Yeah. I haven't really read. I've read about it. But
Right,
yeah.
we read synopsises and stuff like that. So like you can kind of see where he would turn to that. That would be something he would go to. But anyway, it ends up, he says one. Rick picks the axe up and on the downswing, Negan stops him, says, "That's the look I want," and because obviously, Rick is just a mess. But awesome. I mean, spectacular episode. Great way to kick the season off. By far my favorite villain that I've seen in a long time. Like, just really psychopath messed up.
And if it plays out like the comics, he'll be around for some time. Unlike a lot of the other kind of bad guys that have been in this, they really weren't in it for very long.
Right.
The Terminus people were in and out very
yeah, that
quickly.
was like an episode and a half. Like they weren't.
Yeah, they really didn't last all that long. The governor was around,
Mm-hmm.
so a good portion, but I think Negan and this group will be.
But I think the difference, the key difference between the governor and Negan is the governor was living 2 lives, where he was like, one face to the people, and he in the back, second face, second person, trying to not resurrect, but heal his daughter and, all this other stuff. Whereas with Negan, it's like, like his followers know he means business. And if you cross him,
I'll melt your face with
I'll
an iron
melt
like
your-
he did with Dwayne.
yeah, I'll melt your face with an iron. Like, don't fuck with me.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm really excited to see the next episode. I think this season's gonna be really good. I think it's gonna be a good
Setting
season.
up for some big things.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, that was. You got anything else you want to talk about? All right. Well, that was episode 196, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, you can visit our YouTube page at youtube.com/72DPI online. Leave us a thumbs up if you like the video. Please subscribe. You'll get a notification whenever one of our videos goes live. You can watch us live every Wednesday on twitch.tv/BC Podcast. We get all the fancy overlays and everything like that. We're going to go ahead and continue doing the Facebook Live thing. It worked pretty good. We need to get a little bit better holder for it, because right now it's being held up by some straps.
Works.
It does kind of work, but it's kind of janky.
Who knows it's janky if you didn't tell him?
Well, I just told him, so it's out there. So we need to fix that. So we're gonna keep doing that. We'll be back next Wednesday. We've got some new things planned for the upcoming year. I'm pretty excited about. Yeah. All right. So we'll be
Sorry.
back. Hi, Sawyer.
Yeah,
Just kinda
he's
hanging
awake.
out. So this is episode 196. So the first episode starring Sawyer.
And there he sits.
He's just sitting there. He's such a great kid. He really is. He just sits there and he's just like, I'm going to play with the blanket. And that's what I'm going to do. You guys go ahead and do your thing. I know you'll play with me when you're done. Meanwhile, I'll fill my pants. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday at roughly 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It depends. It's a very loose 8 p.m. All right. We'll see you all later.
Night.
So